But first of all, John.
Yes, Eamon.
Liverpool, 4-3 against Crystal Palace. A bit of a scare, and for Liverpool fans, a reminder of what life used to be like when they played teams like Palace.
Yeah, well, it's unusual happening, Eamon. It's unusual for them this season, and it does happen now and again. And Palace have done remarkable things in recent weeks, including beating Manchester City.
And Wolves. They beat Wolves 2-0 away.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So they're a team that can do anything. But the fact is, Liverpool won, Eamon.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. I know they've conceded goals that they probably shouldn't have been conceding, but the fact is they won at the end of the day. They won, they got the 3 points. And again, learn from that and go on to the next one. Because that's the way it happens in the Premier League. I mean, it's a win, 3 points in the bag.
Right. Didi.
I didn't see the match, Eamon, but I didn't see the game.
Yeah, I saw it. Didi, James Milner sent off for 2 yellow cards. This young lad at Palace, Salah, has a lot of talent, and he gave Milner a bit of a nightmare. James was standing right back because of injuries.
I think everybody knows what Salah is capable of. That's why Man United paid a lot of money for him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I think Palace is a very underrated team because they've got some players who can do damage going forward. They beat City away, so I don't think it was a foregone conclusion. Liverpool's going to win that game.
No.
But that right back position is a concern because Klein has gone on loan now. Alexander-Arnold is missing. So that's certainly an area where they will have the manager will have a headache or two. Gomez is still out injured. We don't know whether he comes back for the Munich games. So question marks whether they should have let Klein go in January when you know your first cover is probably Milner with Gomez injury. And
yes.
that's a cause for concern, but they find ways of winning. But I think they find it a little bit harder. I think they will experience now in the next few weeks and months that the last 10 games will all be finals. If you want to win the league, you probably have to win 8 or 9 out of the last 10. That you have to treat them as cup finals.
Yes.
And I think that pressure will build, and it's a different mindset now because people think now it's Liverpool's to lose.
Yes.
They're not the chaser. City is chasing at the moment, and I think they feel the heat a little bit at the moment. But still they find ways to win.
Now, both you and John have played in Championship winning teams, contending teams. John, how much does the pressure intensify in the last 2-3 months of the season?
Well, of course, there's more pressure on Eamon, but the managers have a great deal to do in this particular situation. And like the great thing that with Don Revie and most managers hear them talking, I mean, it's one match at a time. Like you can't look at 2 matches ahead. It's what you do in the next match, and that's a mentality that's bred into the players from the manager. To say, don't be worried about what City do from Liverpool's point of view. Don't be worried what City do. All you can do is what we can do ourselves. What they do is their own business. What we do is our business. Yeah. And one match at a time. The next match is the most important one. We go and do it then. City can't stop us beating other teams. They can only beat teams themselves. So it's a mentality that you have going into that final 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 games, Eamon.
Yeah.
It is different. There's no doubt it's different. And of course there's pressure, but there's pressure on everybody. And you'll find that if the players in Liverpool can't handle that pressure, then they don't deserve to be there.
Yep.
That's the game.
Yeah, Didi, Mo Salah, he's having another brilliant season. Now, he got booked for diving, and I think he did dive on Saturday. The other controversies involving him and penalties in the last few weeks, I thought he was not diving, he was touched or pulled. It just would worry me a little bit. I wonder what you think of this, that now that he's had a booking for diving, there may be a game or two down the line where he isn't diving, but his reputation goes before him, because that does happen, doesn't it?
It does, and we've seen it with other players. If you do go down easily, there might be a foul at some stage. You don't get it given because of the reputation the player's got. I've got to slightly disagree with you, Eamon, because there was one a few weeks ago may have been against Wolves at home.
Yeah.
Where a penalty was given, and I think a player from Everton was banned for a similar thing last year or last season. So I think he was quite fortunate where somebody pulls him slightly,
Yes.
or touches his shoulder, and his legs give way, and he's diving like the dying swan in the box. I think he was very fortunate. When I saw the footage, I thought he won't get away without a ban here. So I think the writing's been on the wall. I think he's been fortunate. I agree with you. On Saturday, he got booked, and rightly so. But he's got to be careful because reputation is one thing, but the other thing, if he were to be fouled in the next few games and a penalty isn't given, you probably have to have some sympathy for the referees, because at the moment he's going down far too easy.
Yeah, John, I mean, he's a brilliant player, John, isn't he? His pace, his hunger for it, and that was evident this week. And in the last few games they've been close games. Napoli, the home game against Everton, the Manchester United game where they gave up a soft goal and had to battle. Salah, he's hungry for it, John, isn't he?
He's a terrific player, Eamon.
Yeah.
But you're quite right. You said it quite right, indeed, as well. He's got to cut that out of his game.
Yes.
Eamon. He doesn't need to do it. He's a brilliant player. He's scoring his goals. He's got a reputation now for diving. So referees will be looking out for it. They're human beings. They'll be looking out for it. And the manager's got to grip him and say, "Don't be doing that. You're a brilliant player." He doesn't need to do it, Eamon, and he's brilliant player. So he might do a bit of harm in the long run if they do have a penalty that they should be getting and they don't get it. Yeah,
I'd just say, Didi, to you, a bit of good news for Liverpool fans, and I take it you are a Liverpool fan. Firmino's come back into form in a big way. He had 3 or 4 months before Christmas when it looked as if whether it was a hangover from the World Cup, whether it was the fact that his Salah had come into a position he'd played, but he's back now, and he is a super player.
He is, and I think he's the one who links everything, because he can play off the shoulder of the last defender. He can drop in. He links the player well, and he's lethal in front of goal. And yes, he has been a little bit quiet, but I think that's the way he plays. I think the more you think he's gone cold, I think the more dangerous he is, because he kind of wanders over the pitch, and half the time he looks like he's not interested. But that's the way he plays, and I think that's where he is at his most destructive, because we've seen it time and time again. He scored the last-minute winner against Paris, which was so important in the Champions League. Terrific player, and the role he's got there to link up with Mane and Salah. If you've got a player with his technical ability and you've got a pace on the wing, this is why it works so well. And I wouldn't say Firmino is the most important out of the three, but probably the one who doesn't get enough headlines or as much headlines as the other two, but I think is equally important.
John, the other thing he does, he leads the press, as it were. He does close down the defenders. He closes down in midfield. He's very diligent in that regard, and he gets the others to do the same. He encourages them.
He's a very, very good player. I mean, as you say, he had a bit of a dodgy spell before Christmas and that. Like all players, that can happen to any player. And I think the World Cup does have an effect on some of the players. But he's back on form now. So he's one of the trio that's really, really top class and very, very dangerous to the opposition.
Now, John,
there's no doubt about it.